Hello, everyone. Welcome to Day 9 of Storytime Adventures with Authors. My name is Barbara Ann Mojica, and today I'm going to read to you one of the books in my Little Miss History Travels 2 book series. The message of my books is, if you don't know your history, you don't know what you're talking about. Why do I say that? Because knowing history is critical. When we learn about other people and the way they think, we learn how to understand how we got to where we are today. It helps us to better understand us, our families, our neighbors, our community, and our world. At the end of my book reading today, I'm going to share with you some free activities that I think you'll enjoy having lots of fun with. So let's get started. The name of the book that I'm going to be reading is Little Miss History Travels to Ellis Island. You may have heard the word immigrant. It's been in the news a lot lately. An immigrant is a person who leaves one country in the hopes of finding a better life in another country. This is the story of the immigrants who came through Ellis Island more than 100 years ago. A journey begins with leaving one place and venturing forth to another. Millions of immigrants left their homelands in the 19th and 20th centuries to seek the promise of a better future in America. Why did they abandon their homelands? Some fled from political oppression or slavery. Others left because of the possibilities of acquiring new land to farm. Those who entered the Great Hall on Ellis Island did so with fear in their hearts and hope in their eyes. Come follow along and explore their dreams and experiences as they pass through the gates on Ellis Island. Perhaps you will see one of your ancestors reflected in their eyes. For most immigrants, the end of their transatlantic voyage was a new beginning. For others, it became an island of tears. This is Little Miss History. She's the cartoon character who guides you along on each of our adventures. So let's begin reading. A long time ago, as a little girl, I dreamed of traveling all over the world. And often I'd ask about the past, driving everyone crazy fast. Here's Little Miss History dressed as an immigrant. Amused by this, my parents thought, why not call me History for short? Since then I've traveled by land, sea, and air. So read this book and I'll take you somewhere. There's Little Miss History getting ready for her journey, and then she's walking down the ramp to arrive at Ellis Island. There's a picture of what one of the ships would have looked like in those days, traveling across the Atlantic. And there's Little Miss History getting off the ship. Little Miss History travels to Ellis Island. More than 100 million Americans can trace their ancestry to the immigrants who came through Ellis Island. Before Ellis Island opened in 1892, immigrants passed through Castle Garden Immigration Center across the bay in Manhattan. Ellis Island began its life as a 3-acre sandbar. Samuel Ellis, a butcher, agreed to sell it to New York State. In 1808, the state transferred the island to the federal government to serve as a military base. Fort Gibson. After the War of 1812, they abandoned the fort and used it to store weapons. The Federal Bureau of Immigration renamed it Ellis Island in 1891. And there's a picture of what Ellis Island looked like when it was just a teeny, teeny sandbar. What do you see in the background there? I think I see the Statue of Liberty. The original wooden building on Ellis Island burned down after 5 years. The new main building opened in 1900. William Boring and Edward Lippincott Tilton received gold medals for its design. So there are the two architects who designed the new building, and there is little Miss History standing there with a fire hat in a bucket. In those days, they didn't have fire engines, so they fought fires with buckets of water. Annie Moore, a 15-year-old Irish immigrant, disembarked on the first ship. She got an official greeting and a $10 gold coin. That was the most money that she ever had earned. There's a statue of Annie Moore. The country of Ireland gave that to America as a gift. From 1894 to 1924, more than 70% of all immigrants came through the port of New York. Inspectors climbed aboard the incoming steamships. They inspected the first and second class passengers, while the poor immigrants had to walk single file through the Great Hall to face inspection. And they waited on long lines. This is a picture of what Ellis Island looks like today. But back in the 19th and 20th centuries, the immigrants would be waiting on long, long lines. Something like the lines you might see at Disney World. Dr. Carl Ramus served on Ellis Island from 1902 to 1922. He quickly identified immigrants with contagious diseases. Symbols were placed in chalk on the clothing of anyone with health problems. So here is Dr. Carl Ramus, and there is little Miss History, and some of the symbols they used. It looks like they marked her with an E. Maybe they think she has eye problems. Medical examiners closely observed the immigrants as they climbed the staircase. Harvey Snyder worked here as a gatekeeper, a watchman, a guard, and a clerk. He rose to chief inspector, supervising the entire night crew on Ellis Island. And there are immigrants walking up the stairs and Mr. Snyder. Can you find little Miss History hidden among the immigrants? About 2% of the immigrants were sent back home because of disease, insanity, or criminal background. Augustus T. Sherman photographed the immigrants who were left behind in their native costumes. As chief clerk, he heard the appeals from immigrants who were denied entry. He decided who could enter the country. So there are some of the immigrants who were left behind for a time, and there is Augustus Sherman. Can you see some of the pictures, the photographs that he took of the immigrants? Those who failed inspection were sent home or placed in the hospital on the islands. More than 3,000 died while waiting. Ellis Island received the nicknames the Island of Tears or Heartbreak Island. And there's little Miss History looking pretty sad. And in the background there, you see some of the equipment that was left behind in the hospital from those days. Fiorello H. LaGuardia, who later became the mayor of New York City, translated German, Italian, Yiddish, and Croatian for immigrants on Ellis Island. Immigrants who passed inspection had to answer 29 questions. Okay, there's a picture of Fiorello LaGuardia. And there is a little Miss History showing you the 29 questions that immigrants had to answer. Immigrants who passed inspection often met relatives and friends outside the registry room by the kissing post. During World War II, Ellis Island served as a prison for German merchant sailors and others suspected of spying or sabotage. There's little Miss History at the kissing post. Do you think Annie Moore met some of her relatives who were already here in America there? And there's little Miss History. She's being suspected of spying. After 1950, the U.S. government passed strict laws controlling immigration of those who were suspected to have communist sympathies. They set up quotas that cut down the number of immigrants allowed to enter. The whole south side of Ellis Island today is called the Sad Side and is now off limits because it's in disrepair. Okay, there's little Miss History telling someone suspected of communist sympathies to go denied entry. And here's a picture of Ellis Island today on the south side by the hospital. In 1965, President Johnson included Ellis Island as part of the Statue of Liberty National Monument. Lyndon P. Johnson, 36th President of the United States. So there you see the Statue of Liberty. It's very close to Ellis Island. And there's President Johnson, who made it a national monument. The main building on Ellis Island reopened in 1990 as a museum. And in this museum, you can see maps of where the immigrants came from. You can also see pictures of the immigrants and what they did when they settled in America. Remember, some of them were farmers, some of them stayed in the cities, they worked in factories, or they worked in homes. In 1998, the United States Supreme Court settled the boundary dispute between New York and New Jersey. They declared that most of the island today is in New Jersey. Okay, so here is a picture of the court decision, and there is little Miss History in front of the Statue of Liberty. The island was very much expanded and made bigger. So now today, lots of it is in New Jersey. Today, the National Park Service operates Ellis Island, and the United States Park Police Marine Patrol guard the waterways. Okay, so there you see little Miss History dressed as a park ranger. And there she is on the Marine Patrol boat. Would you like to visit Ellis Island to research your ancestors? You can do so at stations like this. And there I am at the computer. I was doing research about my grandmother, who came through Ellis Island when she was just a little girl in the early 1900s. You could ask one of your parents to help you do research on your computer. Maybe one of your family members came through Ellis Island long ago. Okay, you can check out the rest of my books on littlemisshistory.com. There are pictures of a few of them: the Statue of Liberty, Mount Rushmore, Ford's Theater, Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum. There are 13 books right now that you can check out, and there will be more coming. Now, I want to share with you 2 activities that I think you would have a lot of fun doing later on today, maybe tomorrow. This is a menu. Now, you know when you go to a restaurant, you get a menu and you have a choice of different food to eat. Well, on this menu, there are 9 different activities from which to choose. You can do things like draw a cartoon strip about the immigrants at Ellis Island. You might want to get together with a brother or sister and put on a play. Maybe you want to make a collage, draw some pictures of what the immigrants might have looked like. You can check out my YouTube channel down below. The links are right there. And I have lots of videos. And I do have a couple of videos that show you actual photographs of immigrants on Ellis Island. So check out my YouTube channel. Check out my Facebook page and the other links below. And see if you can come out with some great ideas to create your own Ellis Island projects. I also made for you a word scramble. And in this word scramble, I have scrambled up some of the people and places that we read about today. Maybe you'd have some fun seeing if you could figure them out. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'd love for you to share your activities. So if you do complete some of these activities, please send me a message. You can do that through Facebook, littlemisshistory.com, or leave a comment and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I hope you'll visit my website, littlemisshistory.com, and thank you again. Have a wonderful day. Bye now.